It's easy to forget, given that the Russian air group at Hmeimim was wholly composed of Sukhoi aircraft, including the Su-24, 25, 27, 30, 34 and 35, that the word MiG has been synonymous with fighter for most of the post-World War II era. MiG Design Bureau's dominance started with the famous MiG-15 fighter of the Korean War fame, through MiG-17, 19 and 21 of the Vietnam War, Arab-Israeli Wars and the India-Pakistan conflicts, and ending with the MiG-23 that was the frontline Soviet fighter for most of the 1970s and 1980s, along with the MiG-25 strategic interceptor. The dominance of the MiG family was eclipsed and ultimately ended by the sudden emergence of the Sukhoi Design Bureau, which spent decades building attack, bomber and strategic interceptor aircraft such as the Su-15, and whose introduction of the record-breaking Su-27 meant the MiG suddenly became the junior partner in the Su-27 MiG-29 combination of fourth-generation fighters which entered service in the 1980s. The end of the USSR tilted the playing field even more in favor of the Su-27. It was not efficient to modernize and maintain two fighters with similar characteristics, so preference was given to the larger, longer-ranged aircraft capable of carrying a greater payload. While MiG-29s experienced some modernization, the Su-27 family was enlarged by the Su-30 SM long-range multi-role interceptor, the Su-34 tactical bomber, and finally the Su-35 Generation 4+ fighter, all of which were accepted into active service and ordered in large numbers. Moreover, older Su-27s were modernized to the Su-27 SM Generation 4+ level in order to keep them competitive in the air combat role. And of course, the T-50 Generation 5 fighter is also a Sukhoi design that will receive its Su designation once it is officially accepted into service. Today, 2 decades of MiG neglect are coming to an end. Already in the 1990s, a few dozen of the MiG-29 SMT Generation 4+ fighters entered service. These aircraft had improved avionics, a more powerful engine, extra fuel, and a wide armament suite, which makes it equally capable in both air-to-air and air-to-ground roles. Additionally, MiG-29 SMTs were recently ordered and have begun to enter service, with the first 4 new aircraft being deployed to the Russian airbase in Armenia to keep watch on the potential Turkish threat. Russian naval aviation has ordered sufficient MiG-29Ks to equip an entire carrier-based fighter regiment to supplement the Su-33 regiment that represents the Admiral Kutsinov's aerial component. But the MiG-29 family's ultimate member will be the MiG-35 fighter, which was originally developed for export, but which is soon expected to enter service with the Russian Aerospace Forces in 2017. Like the larger Su-35, the MiG-35 will be a Generation 4++ multi-role fighter equipped with an active phase radar array and a wide range of weapons. The renewed interest in MiG fighters serves several interests. The Sukhoi aircraft are all large, powerful, long-ranged aircraft, so much so that they are overkill in many situations, including close air support and providing battlefield air cover. Their presence would release the Sukhois for longer-range missions where their performance is crucial. The MiG-35 is also more than a match for most of the F-16 variants, which represent the bulk of NATO's fighter force, and will continue to do so for decades to come. So they provide a useful boost to Russia's tactical aircraft numbers at lower operating costs than the Sukhois. The final reason has to do with Russia's defense industry policy that seeks to avoid excessive consolidation. The problems associated with the F-22 and the F-35 are a direct consequence of Lockheed Martin having a de facto monopoly on fighter design in the United States. The JFX competition that led to the F-35 was a sham for which the Boeing design was not developed to win, but rather to hone technologies to be used in Boeing's own monopoly, namely unmanned combat aerial vehicles. Therefore, the US Air Force now has no choice but to pay the many excessive billions of dollars Lockheed Martin demands and accept a substandard product because it literally has no alternative choice. The Russian Aerospace Forces, on the other hand, will have 2 major design bureaus to choose from in the years to come, and there are already rumors that the MiG-35 will be followed by a lightweight Generation 5 fighter to supplement the heavyweight T-50.
The Syrian Arab Army SAA and its allies have advanced on al-Nusra militants in the Marj region of eastern Ghouta and seized full control over the strategic Tal al-Frat region. Separately, 800 humanitarian aid packages were delivered as part of Russian support in at least 3 towns in the southern parts of Damascus: Yalda, Babila and Saidi Meghdad. On March 24th, Syrian forces supported by Russian fighter helicopters entered the rugged terrain of Palmyra orchards after having liberated the Semiramis Hotel and gas station. Now the loyalist forces are clashing with ISIS militants in order to consolidate the gains and to continue their advance on the city's southern part. Meanwhile, Russian warplanes are pounding the ISIS supply route between Palmyra and al-Sakhanah. If Palmyra is liberated, the SAA and its allies are likely to advance through the Palmyra-Sukhna Deir ez-Zor road in order to break the ISIS siege of Deir ez-Zor. Furthermore, Palmyra is a crucial logistical hub which will allow the loyalists to increase their edge in freedom of movement, while the terrorists' liberty to act will be restricted. A Russian Special Forces officer has died a hero in Syria during a target designation mission near the city of Palmyra, a spokesman for the Russian military contingent at the Hmeimim Air Base told reporters on Thursday. The Russian officer carried out a mission for a week, spotting crucial ISIS facilities and providing precise coordinates for Russian airstrikes. The officer's name, rank, and the date of the accident remain undisclosed. The presence of Russian special forces conducting target designation missions was earlier confirmed by Colonel General Alexander Dvornikov, a deputy commander of the Central Military District in Russia and chief of Russia's campaign in Syria.
When the troops of the First Baltic Front, under the command of General Ivan Bagramian, captured the city of Königsberg from the Wehrmacht, they probably had no idea that less than half a century later, the city and region of Kaliningrad would be Russia's westernmost outpost, cut off from Russia's mainland and bordering with 2 member states of a hostile NATO military alliance. This peculiar position means that Kaliningrad plays an important role in the relationship between Russia and the West. Should the relations between the two deteriorate to the point of military confrontation, Kaliningrad region would play a crucial role. Indeed, following the outbreak of the war in Ukraine and the reunification of Crimea with Russia, Polish media ran several stories discussing a possible campaign by the Polish army against Russian forces based in Kaliningrad. Media coverage in other Western countries has sought to portray Russia's naval and air operations on and over the Baltic Sea as somehow illegitimate, which also suggests that public opinion is being prepared for potential NATO military action against the enclave. The strengthening of NATO's military presence in the Baltic states, ostensibly to defend these countries against Russian aggression, has the actual effect of threatening a military isolation of Kaliningrad and reducing Russia's ability to defend that part of its territory. Further complicating the situation is the fact that the only overland route between Russia's mainland and Kaliningrad region that does not lead through a NATO country is through Belarus, whose government could also become the target of a Western-inspired colored revolution. It is also not difficult to imagine the West adopting a packet of unilateral economic sanctions targeting Kaliningrad, following the example of sanctions leveled against Crimea. Which naturally leads one to ask, why is Kaliningrad of such importance and what forces are available for its defense? The Kaliningrad Defensive Region, which is organizationally part of the Russian Western Military District, houses the headquarters of the Baltic Fleet and is the site of Russia's only naval base on the Baltic Sea that never becomes icebound, in contrast to the more northern bases in the Gulf of Finland, such as Kronstadt or St. Petersburg. It is also the home of the Yantar shipyard, one of Russia's main shipbuilding facilities, capable of constructing large surface ships. It is the site of Voronezh DM missile launch early warning radar, which provides coverage of most of Europe. Even more importantly, Kaliningrad can serve as the launch pad for Iskander-M ballistic missiles and Caliber cruise missiles, as well as tactical aircraft, which can reach the proposed US-Euro ABM sites planned for Eastern Europe and attack infrastructure, such as railroad junctions, airports, and seaports, needed by NATO to deploy its forces, which makes Kaliningrad an important part of Russia's conventional deterrence posture. For that reason, should the Russia-West confrontation continue, we can expect the forces assigned to the Kaliningrad defensive region to increase. While no Iskander M units are based there permanently, a missile brigade equipped with Tuchka-U short-range missiles is. Russia did conduct a temporary deployment of Iskanders to Kaliningrad in May 2015 as part of a military exercise. While there are no Caliber-equipped ships currently assigned to the Baltic Fleet, there are now plans to construct a series of light frigates armed with such missiles. And when Defense Minister Shoigu announced the formation of 3 new ground forces divisions in the Western Military District, sources close to the ministry stated one of them would be stationed in Kaliningrad. Currently, only a single motorized rifle brigade is stationed there, and a naval infantry brigade that is approximately at 25% strength, supported by a fighter aviation regiment, an S-300 air defense regiment, and helicopter units. Will we see the transformation of Kaliningrad into a major militarized outpost similar to Crimea, bristling with missile batteries and defended by a powerful land force? A lot depends on the future of Russia-Western relations. It appears that the prospect of reinforcing Crimea is being used as a bargaining chip to induce NATO and the US to enter into negotiations with Russia on a new security framework for Central Europe, to replace the one that was shattered due to NATO's expansion eastward and the attempts to bring Ukraine into NATO. For that reason, the state of Kaliningrad's defenses is the barometer of Russia-West relations as much as Crimea is.